You should be able to see the gap. It's bowed out, and from the center down here it's bowed out probably 1/4 of an inch. I didn't notice it was happening. This end over here is not bad. It's bowed out a little bit, but not nearly like this end. Could you see it? I don't know if it shows up better with white or black. Support. How would I support the sides? I got my wires coming out the end here. I don't know if you can. All my wires are coming out the end, so I mean I can't really put anything over here. I thought this spool would be plenty stiff enough, but that pressure of all that wire is just huge. So I don't know what to do. The problem is it doesn't, everything's in the way. It's about 1/4 inch from the center to the outer edge, which is 6-inch radius. So it's about 1/4 inch and 6 inches. This shaft running through the center, I can't get to the center. And my bracket here is in the way too. I mean, it's holding right now, and this black plastic is fairly flexible, so I don't think it's going to snap or anything. But I'm kind of afraid to add any more wire to it. My hand's about to come off here too. Just do my meter on the floor. Got 30.5K between here and the inner end. Yeah. Uh, 94 pounds, that baby's. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's the winding slipping. I think the force of the wire just pushes out on the ends as I wind, because I was pulling it tight. I think I shouldn't have pulled it tight at the ends. But yeah, putting sticky tape in between the layers would probably have helped a lot too. Yeah, lace the ends together. I was kind of hoping to kind of just leave the coil in position there and try to slide the shaft out, but I don't know. I got to think. Right, it moves, yeah, and pushes outwards. That's right. And I got probably 200 layers on there now. Yeah, I get what you said, but you didn't tell me that in advance. You told me that a week ago. That was something I didn't know about. No, it's no big deal. I wouldn't expect you to tell me. I didn't know about it. I didn't really think about it. This was a wire spool. I thought the ends would be plenty strong enough to hold wire, but I didn't think about the fact that this is so dang much wire, so many turns. The wire that was on there was like number 10 or something, which is way big fat, not anywhere near as many turns. What gets me is why this end here is bowed out so bad and the other end is hardly bowed out at all. I don't know if I was putting less pressure on that end down there because it was farther away from me or what. Yeah, no, they're great tips. You know, I mean, if I wind another one, I'll definitely take advantage of that information. $30.5K isn't bad. I mean, I originally wanted to get where did it go here? I was originally shooting for about 46K, 45K, So 30K is two-thirds there. Wanted to get about 135 or 140 pounds of wire on there, and I got 94 pounds. So it's not, I mean, it's not bad. Yeah, for sure. So does he put the tape under every single layer, or every few layers, or what? Yeah. Well, partly I'm concerned about how much pressure is already on there. I got three nylon screws, one right there, one right there, and one down there behind the board where you can't see it. Those 3 screws are the only thing holding the end on. These 3 screws here are holding this bracket into the hub. That's what the weight is resting on. The stiffness of that stiffness of the PLA brackets I printed is helping to keep the reel from bowing. And there's 3 nylon screws in there. I got metal nuts on them, but these 3 are just nylon, no metal, tapped into the PVC. So I have no idea how much pressure's on that end. I mean, I know that the end is bent out. I don't know, you know, I don't know how close it is to failure. I don't know if pouring super glue down in there, or if it would soak in there and it would help solidify things, or what. I really don't know what to do. Wonder what I did with my scissors. I have no idea. If you think of something, I'm all ears, as they say. What's your solution? Yeah, well, I got a problem you don't know about, and that's with the wire. Russ wanted me to plug these holes. I don't know if you can see. Can you see this right here where my finger is? That's a PLA plug. And I had wires running out through those holes. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wires running out around the edge of that plug. I just pushed the plug in around the wires and epoxied it in there. So if I try to remove this end, it's going to break off all 5 of those wires. Unless I could somehow drill them out. I mean, that would be like super difficult to drill next to the wire, free the wire without breaking the wire too. So, I mean, that would wipe out half of my winding or more. There's no, if this end pops off and those wires break, then the whole thing is useless. Yeah, but that end isn't going to relieve any pressure on this end. I can take that other end off, but I don't think it's gonna, I don't think there's any pressure going from end to end, or not much anyway. Most of the pressure's wire pushing down and causing the ends on both ends to squirt out. Yeah. I don't know how to figure it out. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, there's no way to prove or disprove whether there's any pressure there or not. I mean, yeah. I don't know what Russ thinks. The wire isn't very loose on the core, because I tried to slide the wire on the first layer because I didn't get the end of the first layer right, and that wire wouldn't slide worth crap on that core. The wire was so tight, I don't know the amount of surface area. The friction was huge. I was trying to slide a single layer. I had to do it a little bit at a time. Yeah, I gotta tell him to make his spool ends super strong. Make his, yeah, I can't. Hey Alan, can you hear me? My spool died. The end is bowing out really bad, so I don't think I'm going to be able to get any more. I thought I had about 98 pounds copper on there. It turns out I only got 94. Yeah, exactly. Tightness wind, I wound it too tight, and the weight's up to 94 pounds now, so yeah, but the ends that he was using were off of another spool. I used ends off of a spool too, but I thought they'd be plenty strong enough, but they weren't. I sent Russ a message and told him he's going to need to make his ends more beefy. I don't know if he's getting messages right now or not. Peak, hello, Peak. Not exactly sure what you mean, Alan. 1-inch wood circles with a 1-inch bolt through it as a tightener and 2 washers. You mean it after I stop winding, right? 94 pounds and failed. 30.5K resistance. The coil's still intact, but the end of the spool is failing. Yeah. Well, they came off of a wire spool. I thought they'd be good, but I didn't realize that with so many thousands of turns, it was going to put more pressure on it than a regular spool of wire would have to hold. Yeah, 180. Actually, I'm up. Yeah, 180,000. Yeah, right. I'm afraid to keep winding because I'm afraid the end's gonna pop. I don't know. If I do Ort's idea of sealing the ends so that they can't expand as I wind, maybe I could wind them some more. One individual wire can take 300 volts. Between it and the next wire. That's at room temperature. The bolts are plastic, nylon. They're about 1 inch long. These bolts here are the same as these bolts here. These bolts hold the end to the PVC center. These bolts here hold the end to this bracket I printed there. This is PLA, and then there's a set screw in here that's, well, it's kind of a tight fit on the shaft, and there's a set screw that screws that to the shaft, and the pulley is set screwed to the shaft, and the bearings are set screwed to the shaft. But the head of this bolt's in there where I can't get to it. In order to get to the head of that bolt, I got to take the end off, but I can't take the end off anymore because the wires come through this plug and they're epoxied in there. So if I try to take the end off, it's going to snap my wires off. Or if the end pops off, it's going to snap my wires off. Glue 4 dowel rods from end to end. .300 volts. It's 30 gauge magnet wire. It can take 300 volts. The coil can take a lot more than 300 volts because the voltage is distributed over the full length of the wire. So with 200 layers at 300 volts per layer, you got maybe several thousand volts it could stand. Yeah, I appreciate that, guys. I know that. My question is, how do I keep the end from popping off the wheel? The end of the reel from popping off my coil? That's the question. Yeah, I know arcing can jump the ends. That was one of the things I'm worried about. with plastic ends and plastic screws. It should be reasonably good. I should never have glued that stupid plug in there over my wires. Then I could take the end off. I like the idea of dipping the whole thing in a big vat of varnish, letting it soak in. Yeah, that's true. That's a good idea. Got about $1,100 worth of wire wound onto that thing. I hate to lose $1,100 without even getting to do a single experiment. Yeah. Exactly. Okay, what you got here? Yeah, I don't think my coil's going to fit in a pressure cooker, but vacuum pump. Yeah, exactly. You're right. Hi, Nick. That's why I gotta sleep on it tonight and think. Yeah. I don't know about the epoxy, how hot the epoxy you have to get. I don't know how hot it would get before we damage the wire. Yeah, they're PLA. The plugs are PLA. I only have to remove the one on this end. The other one doesn't have any wires going through it, so it's not stuck to anything. That's a good idea, though. Heat the plug, maybe. I don't know what temperature this black stuff melts at. I don't know what kind of plastic it is. Probably a lower temperature than PLA, but yeah, I know wax melts at low temperature. That guy's using vacuum impregnation to get it to go down into the coil, which is cool. I mean, I like vacuum impregnation, but yeah, I'm not worried about the wax melting the PLA. I was looking at Peak Positive's suggestion about melting the PLA to get it out of the hole so I could take the end off my spool. Yeah, I got plenty of test pieces. Right. I would definitely have to remove the plug before I take the end off, because if I don't, it'll break the wires. I shoved the plug in with the wires around the edge of the plug with epoxy, so in order to take the end off, I got to get the plug out without destroying my wires. If I destroy my wires, then the whole thing's useless. If I could get that stupid plug out of there, then I could take the end off, and then I could make an adapter. I could 3D print an adapter to go in there to straighten out the end of the coil to make it flat, and then re-bolt the end back on against a specially shaped piece to make it flat. Solutions. Well, $1,100 isn't cheap either. What solutions you got? PLA solvent. Oh yeah. I wonder what that would do to the wire, the varnish on the wire. If it got into my coil and shorted out my coil. Well, that's good to know. I think Heineck's idea of thinking on it and sleeping on it is a good idea. If I make a stupid decision and screw everything up, then I'm going to really be mad at myself. Well, I gotta go take care of a couple things for Christmas, so I'm gonna log out and think about it, think about what to do. If you guys have any great ideas, you can post them. I can read them later. And have a good night, everybody.